Good afternoon and welcome to Metatron News. In the early morning there were several strikes in the centre of London. The police department has decided to file in a report which will be given to the Prime Minister later this afternoon. The Prime Minister has decided to... Do what? Did you just give me the wrong script? Who the heck hired this muppet? No, I'm not calling him names. He's a muppet, therefore I call him a muppet. If there were a reporter and I called him a muppet, I'd be calling him names. But if you've got a muppet and you call him a muppet, you're not calling him names, are you? Honestly, mate, you find a job worth doing, you'll find a share of improving. Good afternoon and welcome to Metatron News. Rome, capital of an empire, one of the most popular touristic destinations of the world. However, the beauty of its panoramic views and the majesty of its historical buildings are not the only sight to behold. Dozens of modern-day Romans dressed as centurions or gladiators make a living by posing for photographs alongside tourists in return for tips. Italian undercover police clamps down on fake centurions who prey on tourists visiting the sites of ancient Rome. That is the headline of The Guardian. But according to The Guardian, the business has been plagued by complaints from holiday makers of centurions resorting to threats and allegation that it is a closed shop from which outsiders are rigorously and sometimes brutally excluded. The 3 men arrested on Wednesday have been accused of assault and risk additional charges of criminal conspiracy, according to the Corriere della Sera newspaper. In 2007, police arrested a fake centurion following a reported attack on an American man and a Chilean woman, which landed both in hospital. The same year, police said that they had arrested 28 unlicensed phony centurions and charged them with violating laws banning commercial activity in an archaeological area. 4 years earlier, there was a fist fight outside the Colosseum between rival bands of costumed ancient Romans. Also in 2003, police arrested a self-styled gladiator for carrying a real sword. Rome authorities said in 2002 they would be licensing the centurions who hang around the Colosseum and other historic sites. There was talk of tests to show they spoke English, had a good people skill and adequate general knowledge. According to NBC News, some 20 gladiators or centurions have been arrested outside some of Rome's most famous tourist sites. It also said that tourists had complained that they had been threatened. According to ilfattoquotidiano.it, the centurions and Roman legionaries are again banned from the mayor of Rome. It has now become illegal to wear Roman clothing and pose with tourists in exchange of money. But this is it for today's news, and thank you very much for watching, as always. Okay, so what are my actual opinions on this? Now, I've decided to report this situation and this very Italian news to you because I know that a lot of you actually enjoy coming to Italy, particularly Rome, to visit, to do some tourism. So, the facts are the ones I have read. However, I'd like to underline a few things and, of course, share with you my opinion and give you a little recommendation if you do decide to come to visit the area of Lazio. Okay, so here's the thing. Now, as we said, it's not legal for these centurions and gladiators, I'll come back to the name, to go to the archaeological site and pose in exchange for money. That also means, though, that if you go to another a street of Rome, you might still find them. So, what is my opinion on this idea, this new law, this restriction coming from the Italian government? Do I think it's just? Do I think it's not? Well, here's the thing. Some of these people are good people. They are people who are just trying to make a living. However, some of these are complete, absolute, utter assholes. And unfortunately, because some of these are assholes and they have done really bad things like threatening people or overcharging for a picture, like for example asking for 5, 10 euros, 15 euros for a picture, which is absolutely preposterous, and they did it even after taking the picture, creating a really awkward situation where tourists are just here to enjoy the beauty and the historical depth of our land in Italy. I think it's absolutely preposterous and heinous thing to do to tourists who come here because they love our place. So, am I happy that the centurions and gladiators have been banned? I am, because some of these are really bad people. But on the other hand, I do think that some people who are just honestly wearing this stuff and doing their job honestly, then I'm really sorry for the people who are paying the price for something bad done by someone else. At the end of the day, the idea in itself is a very good idea. Tourists enjoy it, but it needs to be done in a proper way. So what I believe is that what the government should do, and they haven't, so again, it's the fault of these sort of phony centurions, but it is also the fault of the government, because these people a lot have asked to be recognized as an organization by the government and be given actual, for example, name badges and tags. So I think if the government did do this properly, if there was a budget that could be used to create a properly made organization with people who are selected, not just everyone can wear sort of fake legionary clothing, because the clothing they use is terrible, so they do need to give some direction what to wear. As you know, I love historical reenactment, but I think that, you know, if anyone can do it and they can just go on the streets, then of course you will have bad people and good people. But if you can sort of regularize, have little exams, little tests, to make sure that the people who are going to do it properly, and sort of give regulations to it, I think it will be good, because the tourists love it. And the idea of having a properly dressed Roman centurion or gladiator or legionary in front of the Colosseum taking pictures with tourists, and then, you know, that would be great for the tourists because they would enjoy it. They would be guarded, because these people would be chosen. Not just anyone can do it, but these people would be chosen. And it would be a good way for these people to have a job, because at the end of the day, many of these people have now, you know, the good people who were doing this have now lost their job and they don't know what to do. And you know that we are in an actual economic crisis. So I do feel it for the good people who were doing this wholeheartedly, but I'm really happy that the people who were doing it badly and were actually threatening the tourists have been stopped. And I'm glad that and I hope that these tourists will press charges, because these are ultimately criminals. Also, on the name, they call them centurions. Even in Italian, they use the word centurioni and they use the word gladiatori. Now, and that sort of drives me nuts, because they can't all be centurions. They are legion. They pretend to be legionaries, perhaps with one or two centurions. A centurion is an officer, is a soldier who is commanding, a sort of captain who is commanding 80 men. So they can't all be centurions. You can't have 20 centurions stand in front of the Colosseum, because they clearly aren't. They are Roman legionaries, they are legionary, that's what they are representing. But of course, even the press is making the mistake of calling them centurions. So they should stop unlicensed people, give licenses, but the government should do this, because it's not right that the people who do it as a job now have lost their only way to sort of earn a little bit of money to live and also to pay for the food for their families. So these people, they should do little tests, perhaps even having maybe the one who represents a centurion among them. You can have one centurion, for example, and 20 legionaries, and the centurion could be one who can actually speak a little bit of English, maybe who could have an A2 level, international level, and could provide a little bit of historical background to the Colosseum that he could memorize, and therefore, you know, that could make it even more enjoyable for the tourists. Okay, but this is the latest news from Italy. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this show, and if you did, please remember thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content from the Metatron. Soon on the channel, Japanese samurai content, so stay tuned, and remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.